You're right to go, Denise.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred You and Sacred You Love, Sacred You. What is it, Jo?
That's what I say.
It's sacred. Welcome to Sacred You. And these beautiful ladies today are joining me here on this panel discussion today about the power of feeling normalizing. The power of feeling normalizing emotional expression in everyday life. Now, that's a big title with so much, I would say, so much to unpack from it. And these beautiful ladies here today are here to help me do that. So I'd really love to get started and everybody come on board and say hi and who they are and where they're from, and we can get into it. So, Beck, I would love to hear from you where you're from, your why, your how you love to do this stuff, and yeah, just a snippet.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Becca, originally from England, but I'm currently in Canada. I do everything healing and magical and mystical, and my whole thing is to help people empower them, but also help them realize just exactly how powerful they are and being able to help themselves through everything, through their blocks, through their healing, in whatever capacity that is. So that's my why, is to just get out into the world and get everyone to empower themselves. So yeah, that's a
Yes.
tiny little bit about me.
Yes, I love that. Really seeing ourselves, isn't it? Michelle.
Mm.
Hi, Denise. My name is Michelle, and I am a holistic counselor, and I just wrap everything up as a soul practitioner because it encompasses all of the coaching and training that I've done in various ways. And my aim is just to allow people to work through what's blocking them to come back to their aligned self and just to live authentically and move through the blocks, the beliefs, the hurdles, the wounds, and just really allow them to heal. And that's why I'm also the founder of the Australian Holistic Academy, which is a training academy for holistic practitioners, meditation teaching and holistic counseling, empowerment coaching. And it's just so that I can help others so that they're in a position to have the tools to have a bigger impact so that they can actually help people heal as well. So I guess I'm really here for the ripple effect in any way that comes. So now I'm not only doing that through my work, but also being able to train others so that they can empower and help others heal and live with their aligned self or in a way that lights themselves up.
Well, I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you. Elizabeth.
Well, hi everyone, and thank you, Denise and Michelle. I love all of the words that you used, and Becca as well. The word that resonated with me was impact. And I think all of us as light workers are here on some type of a mission with the gifts that we've been given to make an impact in the world. So I love that you shared that with us. Thank you. I'm Elizabeth Gifford Maffei. I am near Orlando, Florida. I do work worldwide. I am a quantum growth practitioner, also an emotion code practitioner, Reiki master, angelic healing practitioner. I have lots of tools, tricks and tools that I utilize, but I love working in the field of frequency, right? We're all one, everything is frequency, everything is energy, and particularly emotions, which I'm so excited for all of us to share tonight, because we have that ability to trap and hold on to emotions that weigh us down. And we all have different ways of assisting and facilitating others to get through that so that they can live their most lovely, joyous life. So thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, frequency. Love that word. Jo.
Irwin here from the Northern Rivers, New South Wales, far north coast. And yes, resonate with all the women that are talking here and all the things. I've been in the health, wellness, spirituality world for over 40 years. I now empower women who
travel with anxiety, overwhelm, and all the things to break through and live their abundant life that they choose. I also work with frequencies, NLP, hypnosis, all the things bundled in. So yeah, it's for me, it's about empowering women to, you know, step into their authentic self, their truth, and live the life that they love. So yeah, that's me.
That's beautiful. I like that. Live the life that you know, that they love. Live the life that I love. And, you know, that could mean for all of you out there listening, that's different for every single one of us. You know, which really, the title again of this is, if I can find it again, here we go. The power of feeling, normalizing emotional expression in everyday life. And that's everyday life. And it's about how I go out there and love, how I love myself, which is the most important. And what does that love look like for me? What is normal for me? Because sometimes we carry the masks, expressions, you know, expectations of everybody else. So I'd really love to get into how normalizing emotional expression in everyday life, what it looks like for us and what it can look like for everybody else. And, you know, I'm not saying that every one of us have got the right answer, because like I said, we're all very, very different. And that's the beauty of it. And you might just take one word out of what one of these ladies are going to say, but it can change your life if you choose. And you said that, Jo, if you choose. So it's got to be your choice, which I really love. So let's get into it. Jo, I would love to ask, like we ask these questions, and what happens is then we go on a conversation and how that resonates with us and what we ourselves do to how that works in our life and how that can work in other people's lives. So I really love getting into it, and you'll find that everyone will have, they resonate, and you'll resonate, but it'll be so different for everybody. So I love that. So here we go. Jo, I would love to know, whose comfort am I prioritizing when I suppress my emotions? Mine or someone else's?
Great question. Whose comfort am I prioritizing when I suppress my emotions? Well, we are ingrained that we are not to express our emotions, specifically in public, or even in the home from a very young age. So we, I guess, prioritize other people when we don't prioritize our own emotions. At the same time, we are really burying our full expression. And I know with young children, and I'm a grandma now, I'm watching them, I do it so differently. I allow them to feel what they're feeling, and I just hold space for that. Whereas my past, I would have like, you can't do that, you know, in public, you know, you can't express yourself. That's not a way to behave, because that's what was ingrained in me. But knowing what I know now, I think it's really important that we embrace all those feelings and we allow them to move through us and out of us. Because suppressing them I've seen firsthand, can cause dis-ease in the body eventually. And I watched it with my mom and many of my aunties and uncles and relatives and people that I loved around me that just, you know, suppress so much so that they could so other people could feel comfortable, right? And so it's so imperative that we hold space for all the emotions. And it's not too late. As adults, it's important that we still allow ourselves to do it in our own way, in our own time, but you know, probably more timely than ever. Like I know from personally, if I don't express how I feel soon after, I don't express it. It's forgotten, it's gone, and then it doesn't get resolved. So I feel like, we are always appeasing everybody else's, this comes about in people pleasing as well, doesn't it? When we do all the things and we leave ourselves last so that we don't, offend or seem a bit pushy or whatever, or unkind what people think, of us. Well, I've passed that point because it doesn't really matter, and we can do those things in kind ways. So prioritizing our emotions is so imperative for us, in your own space, time, and however you choose. There's so many different ways, which I'm sure that we'll be speaking about today. But yeah, I feel like we are, it's time for this dialogue to change, for this pattern, this programming to change. Yeah.
Yeah, the weight, we carry such a weight, don't we, without even realizing that's what we're doing. And it's not our weight, but we end up owning the weight of everybody else and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I actually don't want to pick names. I actually want you ladies just to step in, because I know that when we all say something, someone resonates really fastly with it and wants to on-flow from that. So who would like to on-flow from Jo? Just come on. Yeah.
I can. I just wanted to say with this question, I found it really interesting because when we got the questions a few days ago, I obviously read through them. And this first one, my knee-jerk reaction was just like, oh, it's always for others. And I'm going to blame my Libra sun in my astrology for like it's always looking after others. And so I said, oh, that's just what it is. But then when I sat with the question, I thought, well, it's both, really. I'm prioritizing both because I don't want to feel the negative emotions either. So I'm prioritizing my comfort also. Yes, I don't want the other people to feel uncomfortable or feel like I'm burdening them with my problems. But at the same time, I'm also prioritizing me because I want to ignore the bad feelings. I don't want to feel them. I just want to get on with my work or my day or whatever. And then I also realized that it's not just with the negative emotions. I will do it with positive ones as well. So even like happy or excited, sometimes I almost feel like I'm acting. And it's not that I'm not happy, but I'm either exaggerating or I'm picking the way that I say or the way that I express those positive emotions with people and myself. So I thought that was really interesting because when we think of things like this and this kind of question, we automatically go to, well, it's for other people's comfort and it's negative emotions. But for me coming up, it was also this, or no, it's my comfort too. And then I realized it was the positive things that I do this for, and I found that fascinating.
Yeah, I love that. And it is, isn't it? It's like we don't consider to ask ourselves, but you
Yeah.
looking at the question and it rises something within you, whether it feels stuck or gives you that knee-jerk reaction or whatever, but it brings up stuff to sort of
Yeah.
just to go, oh yeah, what is that? How do I really feel about that? So, I love that. Thank you, Beck. Yeah. So, yeah, jump in, ladies.
Can I flow on from that? Just in a sense of, and I knew this was going to come up today because it's emotions. And we have this habit because it's been instilled in us to go good or bad. And it's nothing against what Becca has said here because it's the way that we've been taught. Emotions are good or bad, positive or negative. And this is one of the things that I try to get my clients to change perspective on, and even people that I talk to, it's not good or bad. They're not negative or positive. They're warning signals to the body. It's a way of communicating. The body is communicating to you about how it's feeling and changing the perspective to actually how they feel within the body. What is termed as the bad or the negative is actually just a heavier weight to bear. And that's all it is. It's just heavier to feel, normally because it arises more within us, and it's a heavier feeling to allow to move through the body. And that's also why I sometimes say to people, that's why when we're having these negative but actually heavy feelings, it's good to have the support around us. Like if you're lifting a heavy weight at the gym, you want a spotter because it's heavier to lift. You'll have got to work through that. And it's the same with these heavier emotions. It's nice to have the support to be able to work through those heavier emotions. And so I like to look at it as light and heavy, not positive or negative, bad or good. They're just, it's the way that it feels in the body. And that referencing of that can sometimes help people be more open to expressing and being more vulnerable with it, because it's not a good or a bad situation. It's just how it feels. And so when you're feeling those lighter ones, it's that celebration and having people who are around you, who are letting you, like you say, Becca, sometimes those good ones, you feel bad talking about them because how are other people going to take your wins? Because not everybody celebrates our wins and our happiness with us. So having those right kind of support networks around you to help you work through and be there by your side with the heavy and the light emotions. And I think that's one of the things that, I guess, when we're talking about emotions today, it's so ingrained in us that they're good or bad, they're positive or negative, and changing that mindset and the way that we view our emotions to the way that they actually feel in the body helps you to be more open and vulnerable with expressing, or even just working through them and allowing yourself to express how you're feeling.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it's like seeing the truth of everything.
Yeah.
And we like when I was saying about whose comfort am I prioritizing? Like you say, Beck, it's mine, but it's also theirs. But we end up carrying that weight, like you were saying, the good or the bad. We carry that and we name that for ourselves. And so we can then survive, because that's what we're trying to do, is survive. Because we don't know how to be ourselves, or we've forgotten how to be ourselves. Always love bringing children into this when they're so little. They know how to be themselves. They know how to be messy. Like I was with my grandson, and he lost the plot. He was overtired. No one was listening to him, in a sense, to say, put me to bed. So he actually lost it and was rolling for half an hour, crying, rolling on the floor. I couldn't console him. So like you said, Jo, just had to hold space. I'm here when you're ready. A couple of times I went up to see if he wanted to be cuddled. He didn't. But when he was ready, he stopped and just sat with me and cuddled me and then I put him to bed. So, that's the things that we need to come back to. And I love that. It's not good or bad, because as a child, parents would think that was bad, but it's not. It's like, you never got my messages. I'm just doing it louder now. So I'm being myself because I've gone beyond my capacity and I need my rest, or I need this, or I need that. So that was beautiful, Michelle. Thank you. And within that, those emotions, when we change the perspective of it, we feel safe and secure because I'm living who I am. Just like the child does, they live who they are. Elizabeth.
Well, such beautiful wisdom from all of you. And Michelle, I love that. It's just heavy and light. And it's the same as each one of those emotions has a frequency. So those heavy those heavy emotions travel at a very slow rate. And the lighter, more joyful ones travel at a faster rate. So you're right. We've been put in a position in society where we pit everything against the other. You have to pick a side, and there is no side. We're all together, right? So, and those of us, and I'm certain those who are listening as well, who have a tremendous amount of empathy for others, who really feel other people's feelings. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a mother or maybe a parent or a caregiver, but sometimes we step into that. We think that we have to protect the other person or spare the other person from feeling something that would be uncomfortable for them. So that's where those suppressed emotions come in. But like Becca said, absolutely are we afraid to feel that for ourselves? And then the question is, who are we? Not that we have malintent, but who are we to manipulate experiences for other souls? Just like you said, Denise, allowing your grandson to have his cry. And what was he doing? He was expressing his emotions. Many of us don't express it or express it fully, and then we create a ball of energy. Literally, each emotion becomes a ball of energy that we trap within us because it's either too big to deal with or too overwhelming, or we just say, we'll deal with it later, and we never do. We can trap those as children. We can trap those. We can actually have inherited emotions that we were born with through our generational. Many of you I know, like I do generational healing. I know for a fact, for me, I trapped 2 emotions preconception. And I always think this is funny. One of the emotions that I trapped was wishy-washy. And it was like, oh, do I really want to come back here again and do this again? I'm not so sure I want to come here. And I just thought that was hysterical when I found that out. But I brought that emotion with me. And if you think about it, until I was able to release it, how did that affect me? Well, I had difficulty making decisions for myself. And I would turn my power over to others. And I said, no, you order for me. I really don't care what I want to eat, but I really did care. Right. So those emotions can keep us stuck if we don't express them. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What comes to me for that is the power that has when we're not when we're allowing the weight of everybody else to dictate how we live our lives. That's a huge power, and we've created that power unintentionally, but by carrying the weight of everything, we create the power for that to dictate how we live. And that's why at times we feel, this is not the life I wanted. This is not who I want to be. This is not me. And we can't understand why I'm living a life and I should be perfectly happy, but I'm not. I'm not doing the things that light me up. I'm doing everything else. So yeah, a lot of power in that. Definitely is. Our next question, because we flowed into quite a few of them, which is beautiful. How have I internalized the idea that emotional expression is weakness, and how is that belief serving or sabotaging me now? That's a beautiful offset from you, Elizabeth. So yeah, who would like to start with that one? Go on, Michelle.
I think it's the emotions that we are internalizing, knowing that they're both a frequency and there's a heaviness and there's a lightness to some of them. When we are internalizing them and just allowing that flow and effect in the body, how it sticks within the body, as like Elizabeth was saying, these emotions sit within the body and then they have that ability to turn up as disease within the body and they can cause us health issues, the tension, everything else. So by internalizing our emotions because it's a sign of weakness is actually causing us more harm. And I think this idea of it's society that makes us feel, from the way that we're brought up, and the idea that is within society or societal expectation is that we don't express our emotions clearly. So therefore, the flow-on effect of that is that it's normally seen as a sign of weakness. And especially I feel for it's double. I think it's for both, but for women, it's a weakness if we are expressive of frustration, of anger, of unfairness, of unjust, of wanting to stand up for ourselves or make a point or stand up even for someone else. That's seen as a weakness to us because you're just so emotional. Like, women are just so emotional, and it's that time of the month. And so that's because of this narrative that is going on in society for women. It makes us feel like we can't stand up. We can't speak out for not only ourselves, but someone else, or make a point because it's going to be seen a certain way. And it's not seen that way when men do the same actions. But then on the flip side, for men, there's an expectation for them that they can't be sad, that they can't express their sadness. And even sometimes they can't express their anger because it's seen then that they are an angry person, and that there's a scariness around that. And I'm not taking away that that can sometimes get to an extreme point, but that's a very different discussion from this one. But even them having the ability to express themselves in sadness or in anger can be turned to a sign of weakness for them, of not being able to control that within themselves. And so this idea of having to hold everything in and not being able to express these parts of ourselves because they're seen as a weakness or seen as something that shouldn't be done because of society. And we are starting to break that mold, but that then sabotages us from being able to be our authentic self, to present to the world how we want to present to the world, to make change, to even just for our own personal well-being, being in a healthier place internally, because we're holding on to energies and frequencies within the body, which then has a flow-on effect. So I think when we internalize and we're not allowing ourselves to emotionally express ourselves, it's really having that negative effect. And it's not only for ourselves, but it's trying to serve others and what their expectations are of how we should behave. And it's coming back to, I think, a lot of this stuff about not being able to express ourselves emotionally comes back to what society expects from us and how we were brought up. And then how do you manage that? Because there's also, yes, we should be able to express our emotions, but what point do we need to also take responsibility for our emotions and manage them? So you need to be able to express them, but do it in a healthy way. So it opens up a really big conversation, and I've gone completely off the question, but
No, you haven't.
there's so much involved with being able
Mhm.
to express your emotions and how that goes, because we can't also have people out there just constantly blurring their emotions out there and not having the awareness of being able to express your emotions in a way that is productive. And that's also a skill that we learn, right? To be able to express our emotions in a way that causes change or helps people understand or build connections or allow ourselves to be seen authentically. So yeah, it's when we're not
That's
allowing
the
ourselves to express them.
question is, that's a whole session, isn't it? The one question.
Yeah, like it's just, I've like gone
It's
off on this tangent,
huge.
which gets really passionate within me. Just bring me back, bring me back.
No, that's beautiful. And I love, we internalize and we can't express, and then what we end up expressing does lead into that, oh, you're so hormonal, you're this, you're that, because you don't know how to express, so you're just expressing badly, I suppose, or expressing in all the wrong ways and come away feeling yuck with that. So yeah, totally hear what you're saying. That was really, go Jo.
Oh, just like, yeah, it's just my mind's going bing, 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 because I had to really feel into this question, how I used to, because I had to reflect back. I've done like, oh God, so much work on my emotional state. But then the thing around sabotage came out. It was I used to sabotage specifically all my relationships, intimate relationships, I would sabotage them because I didn't understand, I didn't know how to express myself in a healthy way. And, you know, this really was one of, I guess, a major thing for me. And I think this piece around how we've been trained to suppress our emotions from a very young age. Now we have to relearn how to express them in a healthy way. And communication is a big piece here. Like when I learnt this, I was able to say, well, I'm sorry. This is coming up from my old part of myself, my traumatized self, or my wounded self from a memory. And this is how I learned to survive in the world. And having those sorts of conversations in intimate relationships is really, really important and powerful, because you're building that connection, rebuilding that connection at the same time. Being able to share like in the most vulnerable way, that was very difficult for me because I was so ashamed of my past, so ashamed, so guilty, and having to relearn how to work with my emotions and express them in a healthy way. And sometimes it does come out bleh, still, but I'm able to go, there it is, recognize it, and then say, I'm sorry, you know, there's that part of me again, and keep working with it, because I don't feel like it's ever going to leave, but you know how to manage it, you know how to integrate it into your communication skills, into your life, and work with it and love that part of yourself too, because that's what it's crying out for, is that love and connection that it never ever got. So that was my little thing that was dinging in my head to share with you.
Yeah, love that, Jo. And yeah, and that, like, love and loving ourselves completely. And I can honestly say a lot of us are not sure what that is or what that feels like or where does that come from. And a lot of us look outside of ourselves for it because that's what we've been, you know, that's everybody's acceptance we think is love. And it's about coming back and accepting ourselves and loving ourselves from the inside out. That little movie, Inside Out, perfect. Have you seen both of them? They're great. But loving ourselves the inside out, all of ourselves, the messiness, the ugliness, the good and the bad. And like you said, and seeing the little messages, Jo, in it, wasn't it? They're going, oh, here I am again. What do I need to do with that? And that's really seeing yourself and loving yourself, is asking yourself all these questions that we get to ask, we're asking ourselves. That's loving yourself. Who would like to go now? Go, Elizabeth.
I'll share. So I love this question about is emotional expression weakness? And just to kind of add on to the wealth of knowledge that we've heard already, I think that the belief that emotional expression is weakness comes from a deeper place of underlying emotions, such as I'm not worthy, or I don't feel supported, or I'm not in control. And of course, that's what we've all been alluding to, is that these are stories. These are stories that either we heard from someone in a play yard in school, or a teacher, or someone said something to us and we believed that story about ourselves, or we created the story ourselves and we rolled it in our heads for our lifetime. And you know, our consciousness is less than 1% of our intelligence. but our subconsciousness is more than 99% of our intelligence. This is where we know who we really are, but we override it with this computer of here in the head, right? So I had been thinking about, we've all met someone who is that person that just tells it like it is. Like we all have that one friend that just, if you just want the truth, they're not going to sugarcoat it. They're not going to waste time. They're going to tell it like it is. And it can be very refreshing, right? But and we might have even said, I wish I could be like her. I wish I could be like him and express what I feel and then be done with it. And we can, but it doesn't mean that we have to do it in a brash way or an unfeeling way to other people and especially to ourselves, right? That's exactly what you were talking about, Denise, is how do we love ourselves? So, and sometimes we're afraid of showing our feelings because we might be afraid of rejection. We're projecting and thinking about what the other person is going to feel about us before we even know what that is. Why do we do that? It's a gift and it's not, right? So I really feel like when we get clear, really and I know everyone here has done work and we all have more work to do, but when you get really clear on who you are, what your operating system looks like your boundaries, your mission, your life playbook, what's okay for you, what's not okay for you, right? And then give yourself permission to express yourself in maybe in creative ways. And it doesn't always mean that you have to have the richest conversation. Maybe you go get some paints like you did when you were a kid and just throw paint on a canvas, but get out those feelings and allow yourself to say, you know what, it's a blue day today. I feel blue, and that's frequency too. Color or sound, it's all frequency. It's what we're meant to do, is to freely and creatively express ourselves and not hold ourselves back.
Yeah, expression, creative. Yes, I really love that. And what came to me for that was that we see it, we see either it, what jumped out as me is that our bravery we think is weakness as well, because we get knocked down. So we go, oh no, I can't get back up again, so it's like when we try and stand up for what's coming out of us from within, it changes everything. So, and everyone around us is going to be confronted with that. So they will always knock back because everyone wants, that's not you. You get back in your place. So it's about being brave to do that, not feeling that braveness as weakness. And being brave can sometimes, I always say, people show up in your life because they're there for a message for you. And it can be discomfort, or it can show you how you shouldn't be, or what you actually, it's not shouldn't be, it's what you need to look at. Because if you're really discomforted by them, there's something in that. There's a message in everything for us. That's what energy is. And the people that show up in our life are there to give those messages. And it's whether I'm paying attention, whether I'm aware of myself to see that. So, that expression, when I start expressing, I start to see myself because I'm paying attention to myself. That is love. Paying attention to myself, what my narrative is, what I'm saying, what I'm agreeing to, that is love. I'm seeing everything, the truth of everything. So yeah, love that, Elizabeth. Thank you. Beck.
Yeah, I mean, like, how do I follow on from those? It's all fantastic. Yeah, I mean, especially what Jo Anne and Michelle were saying with like sort of men and women in society being told that they're meant to be a certain way. And if you act in a so-called negative manner, oh, you're hormonal, or oh, you're weak, or whatever. And so we do have to realize that we're put into a world these days where we're being pushed against our natural rhythms, our natural alignments. And so that's why you get a lot of women in relationships that are in charge and do everything and get everything done. And like the man in the relationship will be very agreeable or whatever. And this is just very generalization, but like you're getting this a lot, this dynamic a lot now in relationships when it's meant to be the other way. And that's not to say that women are meant to be submissive and staying at home and weak and stuff, but there's also this natural rhythm that the women have to go through. So we can't be going go, 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 go all the time, because even, I mean, this goes into other stuff, but like how the menstrual cycle is our flow. So the 28 days-ish is our flow of, these couple of days we work, 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 and then we do this, and then we rest. And it was the cycle. We're not meant to go on the male like 24-hour thing where, with the sun, we're meant to go with the moon. And anyway, so we're just going off on a tangent there, but it's all to say that we're very much out of alignment, male and female. And just looking, like you say, Denise, with children, it's where we can realize it a lot better, because children are just expressive and they will just act in their natural way. And then we say, oh, you can't be doing that, or you're being too loud, or you're being too emotional. And but they're not, they're being natural, and we're just holding it in. We're just saying, well, I can't express this because it's not right in society, or it's not right in the people that I'm around right now, or I can't lose control right now because of the situation that I'm in. And we have to find, I think, people in our lives, whether that is a partner, whether that's family, maybe it's best friend, someone that we can be with where we don't just explode or just verbal diarrhea or anything, but where someone can hold space for us and where we can have someone that calms us. So again, a very generic thing of like a woman's voice to a man is apparently extremely sedative, right? So when a man's having a bad day or whatever, he should be able to come home and just the sound of the woman's voice should just instantly calm him. The same as like when a woman doesn't feel safe, that's when she's freaking out, when she's getting anxiety and depression and just overwhelmed. But if she's got a man in her life who can hold her, then it just makes her feel safe, and she can just release and let go and come back to equilibrium and be like, okay, what do I need to do? How can we go forward? How can I deal with these emotions? Because again, we were talking earlier about how these emotions, if you just hold them inside, can lead to disease, right? And it's going to really just make you sick. Like if you're work, 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 or overwhelm all the time, your body's going to find a way to make you rest, to shut you up and say, sit down, relax, stop, and deal with these unresolved traumas, unresolved issues, or you're overwhelmed. You need to take the time to just go within. And I've just gone off on a tangent. I apologize to everybody, but I'm trying to include what everyone said. But yeah, this is just a fantastic question.
It's never off on a tangent. It's relevant. Absolutely. Yeah, that was beautiful. Speaking of the whole thing that we've just spoken about, and I actually want to go back one step in the questions, and I want it to come from you guys. I want it to what you've experienced, because what I've experienced is different to what you experienced. But we all say we do the same and we feel the same, but we actually don't, because we have this internal narrative within ourselves on how I should be, or what I can say, or what I can't say. Or like you said, some people just come out and blurt it out. They have no worries about speaking what they're feeling, and others are just sitting in the corner, which used to be me, just quietly observing, which I got a lot out of, but I was never seen and I was never heard. And therefore, that label, and when we talk about energy and that label of the world feels that. You know, you can go somewhere and someone says, okay, she's unapproachable, or he's unapproachable. Oh, I get a vibe off that person that they're not very nice. But yet on the outside, they could be very nice. But your internal feels it. It's like when you walk into a room, you feel it before you see it. You feel the energy. So I think this is a really great question to step back from the last one to really... Yeah, I'd love to hear it from your own perspective, because your perspective matters. So what do you believe will happen if you fully allow yourself to feel and express your emotions? Like from before to now, what does that look like? Because we've all been where everybody else has been. And I know we're not all in the same place. We're all at different stages in our life. And I just want to get the community and the world out there to hear that it's okay for us to be all different and where we've come from. Yeah. So who would like to
I don't mind jumping in there.
Yeah,
So
go.
what I used to believe that if I fully expressed myself, like when we grew up, we were sent to our room for the smallest little, emotional release, I call it now, expression. We were sent to our room. So we were like programmed that was bad to feel. And so from there, going out into the big wide world on my own, it was almost like I was going to be crucified. That extreme if I expressed myself in any way. And but now what I know is that that's not true. That was just a story I was telling myself that would happen if I fully expressed myself or spoke my truth. Oh my gosh, like beheaded, and that was probably a past life as well. But it was so deeply, deeply excruciating for me to speak or share emotions, healthy and non-healthy, because I was never shown that. But now it's like freedom. It's like so free. And as I said before, learning how to do it in a healthy way is empowering, right? It's very empowering. So it's a whole different. And this is part of doing the work, right? We have to do the work. How can we teach the work if we're not doing it for ourselves?
Yeah.
And supporting others? So, and I know, like, I love what Elizabeth was saying earlier around what we come into the world with. A majority of the women I work with, we do a process around what's not theirs, what their mother was holding emotionally whilst they were in the womb, or that before they and past life. I've done a lot of past life. So a lot of it isn't even ours, like you said. And realizing by doing the work, all these parts of us have come from somewhere else. It's not who we truly are at the core of our being.
Yeah.
We truly, and something that also came to mind when you were speaking then, Denise, or someone was talking about male and female. Beck, that I heard something once that really resonated with me. And it was this piece about what if women just rose and men did the healing? Not in a bad way, but I feel like women are always doing the healing. How much healing can we do? For goodness sake, we're already enough. We're already that. And, having men in our lives that are willing to work with this part of us and this part of them
Yeah.
is just so powerful.
Yeah, I like that because It's like we have to own ourselves. But I'd like to say, Jo, we also have to remember we're the one who brings majority of our lives, women's lives, is bringing up the children. So the trauma comes from there as well as the men, but there's both sides. And
Oh,
we have to,
100%.
it's both sides. And men have never been taught how to
That's
heal.
right.
But I love the fact that I see now there's a lot of men out there who are showing men the way, which is so beautiful. It's like the yin and yang of everything. We have both sides coming together. We've got to go through the shadow to get to the light. But
Yeah.
it's not even going through the shadow, going through the dark. We've got to go into the dark to find the light. That's what the yin and yang is all about.
Yeah.
Because
The
they
truth
can't
is in the
exist.
shadow.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
you can't exist. They can't exist separately. You can't just be in the light. You have to be in the dark to find that light.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that. There was another thing that popped up there. It doesn't come to me at the moment, but it was beautiful what you said. So thank you.
And I also think that there's so many more, there's a lot of change happening. There's so many more men bringing up the children and being part of that,
Yes.
ecosystem now. It's
Yeah.
doing this circle, which is beautiful to
Like I see that within my children, that the fathers are very, very present. And it's interesting how it's sort of like, you have the grandparents and we stand there. But I see my son-in-law's parents a little bit off about it because they have a certain way that it should be. So, it's still that ingrained stuff. So, that they think it should be this way, that way, or that way. Where I'm really accepting it is go in and do it the way you think is right for you. Because I'm not you. You're not me. You need to live your life according to the way that you want to. But we've always been impressed on, like myself as a child, always impressed on that we should live the way we're told to. Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Who would like to from that?
Well, I used to hide behind my father when I was little. I was so shy that I was afraid to talk to anyone when I went with him on the weekends on his errands. And now the difference is that three brief things. I don't hold on to emotions and don't allow them to ruminate or grow within me. I release my truth and I allow it to land on others. And I don't take responsibility for how they react because that's their responsibility of how they feel and how they react. But I also express myself with kindness and in the universal language of unconditional love, which means there are no strings attached, and which also means that I have to remember to unconditionally love myself when I'm expressing myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's full embodiment, isn't it? That you've come to. So which is a daily thing, isn't it? Because some days we do wake up and it's like I'm back to that child again. So it is loving ourselves and seeing ourselves and paying attention to ourselves in love is a daily thing, is a daily, it's not a once off. It's knowing myself, because once I hear it, see it, I can't unsee it and I can't unhear it. It's going to be there, but what I choose to do with it is up to me. So I can choose to go, oh, okay, or I can go, oh no, I'm just not ready for that, or I just instantly bury it because I'm not understanding myself at all. So thank you. That was beautiful. Michelle.
I think for this one, and from speaking from my personal experience, after holding on and shoving down and ignoring my emotional just feelings and what I was feeling and not being able to express them and just holding on to things, and even sometimes just ignoring some of the emotions that I was feeling as a child and as I went through life. When I started the healing journey, I was so scared of what was going to be unlocked, like opening Pandora's box. And I think this is a struggle, like, 'cause I know a lot of my clients feel this way as well when I'm starting to work with them, that there's so much that they're holding on to emotionally that they're scared. And this is what I think this question's really about. Like, when we open that box at the beginning, when we go back to starting to explore our emotions and express them so that we can heal and work through them and acknowledge the way that we've felt in the past and how that may be blocking us now, or how we can learn to better express, or even just express what's been held in the body for so long, doing that in a cathartic way, which might be crying or whatever process you need to go through. One of the things that I used to believe was that I wouldn't be able to control it. There would just be so much because I'd been holding on to, pushing down, compressing everything in my body for such a long period of time that if I open that box a little bit, it would just be this explosion of emotions that I wouldn't be able to control, that I wouldn't know what to do with, which would be so overwhelming that I would feel stuck in that place of just heaviness from everything that needed to come out and be expressed and to be set free and to be released from my body. And I think that's one of the things that not only myself, but I don't know if the ladies here experienced it when they first started their healing journey and started to actually tap into the emotions that we hadn't allowed ourselves to express. But I see it with my clients, it's this fear of, what am I unlocking? What's going to come out? What is this explosion? What volcano is going to erupt within myself that needs to come out? And will it stop? And I think that's one of the biggest things that when I started, that I believed, like, what is going to come out? Can I control this? Will it stop? Because there's so much in there. And I think once you do start to allow yourself to express that, you start to realize that you only express what you need to express or can express or hold in those moments. And so it's not like everything comes flying out of you like a big volcanic eruption. It's that there's layers to us, and as we continue to heal, the bits that we can handle and what we can hold and what we're ready to release and work through comes up. So it's really learning that process of, it isn't just everything just flies out of you in one moment. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, that I had to believe that it wasn't going to be everything at once. It was going to be a process, and it would be a slow process. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned about allowing myself to express what was stuck, to allow myself to heal.
Yeah, I love that. And it is, and it is a process. It's a process of holding yourself in compassion and love.
Yeah.
And allowing yourself to feel, but still loving yourself no matter what comes out. You know, and holding yourself in that and feeling, holding yourself in love and compassion and feeling. You know, you've got to keep coming back to yourself, which I think is beautiful. And I feel that I know when I work with clients, I always go to the core. So what's happening here today, there's a causal of it, which is the core of, and it's always finding that core. And when we get there, we get to feel that, and that might take some time too, but what unravels from there is, oh, I can see where I did it there. Oh, I can see where it happened here. So it's not like unraveling it from the surface here down. It's like going to the causal and letting the layers show themselves. Because that's what will happen. You'll go, oh, that's what I did there. Oh, I get that now. So because there's that initial emotion, whether it be shame, unworthiness, not enough, abandonment, we carry that and we live that out today. So it's actually going back there and go, oh, this is, don't abandon myself. Because when I really find the core of it, I've been abandoned. So that's what I believe my life is going to be about. And I carry that as the weight. So it's about going back and seeing and feeling those emotions about it. So I really love that. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah. Beck.
Yeah, so Michelle, thank you so much for saying that, because I think a lot of people, they don't confront the big emotions, the heavy stuff, because they think they've got to deal with everything in one go, and then it's just going to be a boom, and in that moment, and then it's done. I think a lot of people don't realize that it takes time. It's a lot of layers, and like Denise, you were saying, you've got to get to that core, that root of it, because if you don't sort out that beginning spark, you're not going to sort it out. You're not going to cleanse it all completely, right? So I think that's so important for the listeners to know, is that yes, it's a process. It's a long process. It's very worth it. And there's so many people that are able to help, professional or friends of yours and stuff, that are going to be able to help you with that if you need someone to hold that space for you, or to give you some pointers, people that have already been through similar things. So yeah, that's incredibly important, I think. To answer the question from my point of view, so when I was growing up, my mum looked after many children, so I was always like the eldest for all of like the time, so I had to be the responsible one and help out and all that stuff. So any kind of expression of emotion, and yes, obviously as a kid, like sometimes there would be temper tantrums, I'm not denying that, but sometimes I was literally trying to say, hey, this, and I wasn't being heard, and I'm a little bit louder, and not being heard. And I always remember my mum's go-to expression was stop showing off. So whenever I tried to express an emotion, it was stop showing off. And I remember saying to her at one point, it was just me and her in the room. There was nobody else around, not even in the house. And I was trying to talk to her and express something, and she just said that phrase, and I said, who am I showing off to? There's nobody here. And she ignored that. But like, so then I think I internalized then that any kind of expressing of my emotions was unwanted, because it was showing off, or it was just, it's a way of stopping me and shutting me down. So yeah, so that was something that I had to overcome, but I didn't for many years, a lot of my adult life. I didn't express my emotions because nobody wants to hear them. Why would people want to know what I'm feeling, And then it would erupt, because it does. It gets on top of you, and the slightest little inconvenience will suddenly just set off years of resentment to that person, or whatever it is, right? And we can just not have that if we can learn to listen to our emotions, to find out what it's trying to tell us. Because again, as we were saying earlier, like, it's not something that's bad, it's not something that's trying to hurt you, it's trying to assist you, it's trying to show you where things are wrong or things are right, and guide you, and say, like, like, so if you've got anxiety or fear or stress about something, well, what's your body trying to tell you about that situation? Do you need to slow down? Is it wrong for you to go in that direction? Is this person not a nice person? And then again, getting back to that original question, like, is that for me, I was in a very toxic relationship for 10 years, and I didn't realize it until way after it was over, and people told me that it was. But the point of the story is that I was always like keeping those emotions in. And because I was so abused, it just got to the point where I thought I was crazy. And so I was really just pretty much just screaming for anybody to help me. And obviously the emotions were coming out. So the partner at the time could point at me and say, look, see her emotions there? That she's crazy because she's acting like this. So then after that relationship ended, to even now, I've had to go through this whole process of, no, I wasn't crazy. I was abused, and emotions are not bad. I was trying to show people that I needed help, but I didn't even know that I needed help, or what I needed help from. And so my emotions were trying to save me from this bad thing. And so for a long time afterwards, I thought if I showed my emotions, everybody would leave me and I would be betrayed, because that's what happened. How this relationship ended was everybody around that saw all this, they all just abandoned, right? So this was also then having to come back to no, I can trust some people, but who do I trust? And it's this whole long healing process. But the very, very core of mine, particularly, and probably for most people's, will be that it has to be the self-love first. It has to be taking care of yourself first. And yes, you need to find some people that you can end up trusting, that you can express your emotions around. But first and foremost, you have to come to terms with you and be accepting of your emotions for yourself first. And then this will lead to you being able to express them in front of others without feeling like you're inconveniencing them or you're making them uncomfortable, because you are standing in your own power when you're expressing your emotions, because you're not just expressing them and screaming them, you're controlling it, but you're expressing them, you're getting them out in a controlled way and a way that's healthy.
Yeah, authenticity. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's yeah, you get to express you. Authenticity, yeah. Elizabeth, did you have anything?
Well, Becca, that was amazing. And what healing that you have been through. And I would just close in saying that I think the word is allow. And a couple of us have spoken that word before. Just allow rather than trying to control. When we try to control, it's because we're afraid of losing something that we don't already have. We just don't have it. But when we allow it, it really turns the authority back to us. And we give ourselves permission to feel, just like we give other people permission and how you can speak to us and treat us and just allow and feel your feelings. And even if you have to have someone there with you whom you trust to hold your hand, whether it's an expert or whether it's a good friend, just allow that release, because as we've all shared, when we keep those inside and we trap those inside, they can just cause any type of dis-ease, even with making decisions in our lives. So just allow.
Yeah. Michelle, would you like to add anything?
I think it's been beautifully wrapped up by Elizabeth to end. It feels like it's the perfect way to end, and it's not even my panel discussion, but I'm like, it's a nice way to wrap it up, like of just allowing, getting curious and doing it from a place of love and support for yourself. And yeah, there's nothing else really to add. It is really just allowing and getting curious with it all and how you're feeling and allowing yourself to express that in a safe space so that you can explore yourself.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Jo?
I 100% ditto Elizabeth, Michelle, Beck. Allow and just surrender to the process. Emotion is just energy in motion. Allow that energy to flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, mine would be just to give yourself permission to be open to receive yourself. So yeah, but Beck, that was beautifully finished on. So I'll ask, do you have anything else?
No.
No.
Yeah, that's yeah, just like everyone said, just give yourself permission to feel them and be curious about them. Like, don't just get angry and then get angry at yourself for feeling angry. Like, take the time to be present with them and to find out what it is trying to tell you. Why are you feeling that anger? And how can that help you go forward?
Get to know yourself, isn't it? It's all about getting to know yourself, not wanting everybody to know you, just to get to know yourself, because then you'll attract the same as what you're feeling, which is so beautiful. That's how energy works. If we're in discomfort, the energy is going to be, my body's going to feel it if I'm not expressing it. So yeah, thank you, beautiful ladies. That was, I know I never went through all the questions. We didn't need to. But yes, it was so beautiful to share this with you. And anyone, reach out to these ladies, because they've got gems, and what they will do is teach you or share you or guide you or show you how to do it for yourself, which is so beautiful. Yeah, so thank you. And because you don't need us forever.
Okay.
You just need us to show you, which is just lovely.
And thank you,
Thank you.
Denise. I'm just going to jump in there. Sorry to interrupt because I know we are over time and I know Jo's got to go and I need to catch up with Jo very soon. But I just want to thank you, Denise, for a wonderful panel discussion and for Jo and for Elizabeth and for Becca and for Michelle for coming on. It was truly, truly thought captivating. And for everyone who's watching, whether it's the live or the replay, click on all these links below that we're putting in to reach out to these amazing women who have just given up an hour plus of their time to share their wisdom, to share their passion in all, everything to do with emotions and how we can live with them and help others. So I just want to thank you. And of course, for anything else, click on the links below and reach out to Sacred You. It's sacredyou.love. Come and check us out, and thank you.
Thank you, ladies. It's been a pleasure.